Hey folks, hope you're excited about 9.2 and where Resto Druid is headed. So overall this class is going to see a fair number of buffs, both to its passive healing and damage by about 10%. So really excited to see that Resto is going to have a chance to get a little bit more incorporation here into the raiding scene as 9.2 takes off, because ultimately some of these tier set bonuses are totally valuable and worth it in terms of what it is we're looking to achieve. We'll start off with a quick, this is our recommended rating build. Tier 1, go with Abundance. Tier 2, Wild Charge. Just the benefit of mobility is fantastic. Tier 3, Balance Affinity, and there's a lot of good reasons why, but we were able to actually drive out a little bit more DPS now with this buff that we've seen. Heart of the Wild really helps us out, either with balance or with our heals. Incarnation is in a great spot. Really excited to see where that is. Spring Blossoms for tier 6, and then finally tier 7, you've got a choice. You can go Photosynthesis. We'd actually recommend going with Flourish, and that basically extends all your hots and makes a real substantial difference in a very large or spread out rating area. So in terms of Mythic Plus, you actually see a pretty different build here. So you'd see Cenarian Ward to start, stick with Wild Charge and Balance Affinity for tiers 2 and 3, as well as Wild Heart for tier 4. Tier 5, you've got a little bit more of a choice. I like Incarn, but ultimately this is my choice because I spend a lot of my time pugging these days. I don't run with my guild or a fixed group as much as I used to. Alternatively, if you do and you want to get organized, you can go with Soul of the Forest, and this really kind of drives up your overall healing throughput. But I'd recommend this for more of an organized event. Tier 6 stays with Spring Blossoms, and ultimately jump back to Photosynthesis here for any kind of raid healing as it rolls out. Overall, like we mentioned, this class is in a really good spot. It was kind of just falling down. It didn't have the best throughput, nothing close to like Mistweaver or Holy Pal, and wasn't getting a lot of DPS. So I'm really happy to see Blizz kind of take it upon themselves to get this thing buffed up and get us to where we need to be. We still don't have like a raid-wide damage reduction, but overall this class is in a much better spot than it's been for a long time. What we are seeing is that there's going to be a couple changes, not only to the passive damage, but we're also seeing Life Bloom is going to be buffed a little bit. So really nice to see that ability continue to get a fair bit of buffs associated with it. As well as like Germination, it's during Rejuvenation, its duration is going to be increased by 2%. Like little activities like that slowly start to make a big difference here from our throughput. Inner Peace reduces the cooldown of Tranquility by 60 seconds. It's still not the go-to in tier 6 for me yet, but starts to get a little bit viable if you can get that down to a 2-minute cooldown. But again, it depends on what the rest of your guild or raid composition looks like. Nourish is in a great spot, healing our target by an increase of 20%. And that's going to be in a really fun spot because it really benefits from mastery. And there's more than a few groups out there, especially if you're used to a composition that involves a warrior, because warrior's going to be switching to a Necrolord focus. That'll really benefit from this kind of mastery buff. And finally, Overgrowth. Overgrowth is in a fun spot here on tier 6, where you're going to see Life Bloom, Rejuvenation, Wild Growth, and Regrowth healings over time. Basically going from a 60% cost of your base mana down to a 12%. So that's going to make a huge difference around the viability of this. But overall, really content where what we're trying to do with Resto. We're trying to get them improved without doing a substantial overhaul to their rotation or to the class. So really content to see that play out. Now jumping into the tier sets, what we do start to see with the new raid Eternity's End is the return of tier sets for each of the classes. And for our friends that are Resto Druids, the 2-piece bonus is going to provide a buff called Renewing Bloom. And basically any healing from a rejuvenation has a 25% chance to grant a renewing bloom, which heals 20% of the spell power of rejuvenation over 8 seconds. Swift Mend can consume renewing bloom, which gives you like a 25% proc chance for that to happen. So overall, you can drive out a lot of improved damage really quick here. So attractive or healing really quick here. Now on to the 4-piece set. Imperial Incarnation. Every 3 casts of Swift Mend grants you Incarnation Tree of Life. This is incredibly powerful. Like, that 4-piece tier set is exceptional in terms of what it is we're trying to achieve. Incarn is by far like an OP ability. The only downside on it was that it's on a 3-minute cooldown. So if we're able to actually get that rolling a fair bit more often, like, that's going to make a massive difference to us in terms of where it is we're trying to go. As far as legendaries, if you're looking for your best raid legendary, well, you might have to go to Night Fae, because Celestial Spirits is still the go-to for your top overall raiding legendary. Now, this is where it gets a little fun. The best mythic legendary for healing is Verdant Infusion. And if you're trying to top out your damage, it's either going to be Unbridled Swarm or Kindred Affinity, and these are both Covenant abilities. So I like where this lands us, because it doesn't give us a whole lot of new abilities, or new specific legendaries that we need to go craft. We'll have a few of these in the queue, but what 9.2 does bring us, and it brings us the ability to wear 2 legendaries, and one of them must be an existing Covenant legendary. So assuming you're already wearing Celestial Spirits, if you're Night Fae and raiding, then your next raid legendary would actually be Vision of Unending Growth. And that's basically allowing you to buff up your rejuvenations and get more of them on your healing target. So that's fantastic news for us overall. For mythic legendaries for healing, you're going to go with the Necrolord's Unbridled Swarm, and then combine it with Verdant Infusion, where Swift Mend no longer consumes a heal over time effect. It extends the duration of your heal over time effects by 10 seconds. So, huge difference there. If you're looking to max out your damage through Mythic Plus, you're going to go with Unbridled Swarm again, or Kindred Affinity, which is the Kyrian ability, and then combine that with Draught of Deep Focus, which is it's a decent general ability here. So there's a couple different components that we can definitely consider. So overall, the class is in a ton of fun. Like, it's just absolutely blasting in terms of what it is we're trying to achieve. Yeah, I'm super pleased with where the class is overall. I think we're pushing a lot of really good talent out there. And ultimately, yeah, if you're going to raid, jump in Night Fae. If you want to push Mythic Plus to like the very top end, you might want to go Necrolord or Kyrian. Although Night Fae will be viable too. It just won't be as overbearing as Celestial Spirits is going to be in the raid. So that's our thoughts around where we're going to land with Resto Druid. Let me know in the comments. Do you think it's going to be viable? Do you think we're going to have a little bit more fun? Like, ultimately, our healing throughput is going to be massive. So I'm looking forward to see where that lands. But let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and hit the subscribe button. Peace.